I once saw a man drink 7,000 calories worth of alcohol in a single night, and his name was Andre the Giant. But this story isn't about his legendary drinking habits. It's about something far more personal, a story few people truly know. Have you ever wondered what happened to the daughter of the most famous giant in wrestling history? What if I told you that Andre the Giant's daughter carries a legacy that's even more powerful than her father's massive 7'4" frame? Today, we're going deep into the incredible story of Robin Christensen Rousimov, a woman who stands tall, not because of her size, but because of her heart. When Andre the Giant passed away in 1993, the wrestling world mourned the loss of its beloved gentle giant. He was the eighth wonder of the world, a superstar who sold out arenas, wrestled legends, and starred in movies like The Princess Bride. But hidden from all that spotlight was a teenage girl who had barely known her famous father. Robin was just 14 years old when she lost the man who had become a legend to millions. Yet to her, he remained almost a stranger. Little did anyone know that this quiet young girl would one day grow into the guardian of one of wrestling's greatest legacies. Imagine being Andre the Giant's daughter. Imagine growing up knowing that your father was literally one of the most famous men on the planet, yet you could count on one hand the number of times you spent real quality time together. While other kids were bragging about their dads teaching them to ride bikes or playing catch in the backyard, Robin's dad was traveling the world more than 300 days a year, entertaining crowds, living the life of a superstar. Her childhood wasn't ordinary, because her father's life was anything but ordinary. The story begins back in the early 1970s. A young woman named Jean Christensen was working in the world of wrestling when she met Andre. Their relationship was brief, but it changed everything. When Jean discovered she was pregnant, Andre was shocked. You see, Andre honestly believed he couldn't have children. Because of his rare medical condition, acromegaly, he thought fatherhood was impossible. Acromegaly was the condition that made Andre grow into a giant. It caused his body to produce too much growth hormone, making his bones and tissues grow continuously. It was the very thing that gave him his size and strength, the thing that made him a global phenomenon. But it was also his greatest curse. It caused him excruciating pain and eventually took his life at the young age of 46. When Robin was born in 1979, Andre wasn't even sure she was really his daughter. Can you imagine that? The man who could lift grown men over his head with ease, scared and uncertain about being a dad. It took a court-ordered paternity test in 1981 to confirm the truth. Robin was indeed his child. Suddenly, the eighth wonder of the world had to face something more intimidating than any opponent he'd ever wrestled: the challenge of fatherhood. But being Andre the Giant wasn't like being any other dad. Picture this. He was so big, he had to use a pencil to dial phone numbers because his fingers wouldn't fit in the holes of a rotary phone. He couldn't fit into airplane bathrooms and had to improvise with a bucket. He couldn't ride in a regular car without being in pain. The world simply wasn't built for a man his size. Now add the demands of being on the road for months at a time, wrestling in sold-out arenas, and you can see why being a present father was nearly impossible for him. Andre paid child support between $750 and $1,000 a month, and he made sure Robin and her mother were financially cared for. But money can't replace bedtime stories, hugs, or having your dad around when you need him. Robin later revealed that most of their conversations happened over the phone, and even those were rare. Whenever Andre tried to connect, arguments between him and Jean would often follow. The tension made everything harder. Andre wanted a relationship with his daughter, but he didn't want conflict. Robin, on the other hand, was just a little girl who felt scared about visiting this giant man without her mom by her side. Jean made a decision that shaped Robin's life. She raised her daughter away from the wrestling spotlight. No TV cameras, no arenas, no chaos. She wanted Robin to have a normal life. In some ways, that gave Robin stability. But it also meant the distance between her and her father grew even wider. As Andre's health declined in the late 1980s, their chances of building a real bond faded. His knees were destroyed from years of wrestling. His massive frame caused unbearable pain. By 1992, he retired because his body simply couldn't take it anymore. Just a year later, in January 1993, Andre died alone in a hotel room in Paris after attending his father's funeral. Robin was still just a teenager, and now the man who had always felt so far away was gone forever. What happened next could have gone so many different ways. Robin suddenly found herself the sole heir to one of the most iconic names in wrestling. She inherited not just his estate but something far more complex, the responsibility of guarding his legacy. She could have cashed in, sold his image to anyone willing to pay, or sought fame for herself. But she didn't. Instead, Robin chose a different path. A path of love, respect, and purpose. She became the quiet protector of her father's memory. She didn't chase attention. She didn't try to become a celebrity. Instead, she made sure that every project carrying her father's name truly honored him. Not just the giant in the ring, but the gentle man behind the legend. Robin has turned down offers that would have made her rich because they didn't respect Andre's legacy. She said yes only when it felt right, when it celebrated who he really was. Over the years, Robin began appearing at wrestling conventions and events, not for herself, but to connect with the fans who loved her father. Through them, she discovered pieces of Andre she never really knew. Fans told her how kind he was, how he would talk to kids backstage, how despite his fame, he treated everyone with respect. Hearing those stories helped Robin heal. She realized that even though Andre wasn't the father she needed, he was still a man who brought joy to millions. She also worked as a consultant on documentaries and books about Andre's life, ensuring the truth was told. Not just the myths about his size or his drinking, but the reality of a man who lived with pain and loneliness in a world too small for him. She even helped with projects that celebrated his softer side, like screenings of The Princess Bride, where Andre's role as Fezzik showed the world his true heart, gentle, loyal, and kind. Robin also established the Andre the Giant Memorial Scholarship Fund, helping young people pursue careers in the performing arts. An incredible tribute to a man who dedicated his life to entertaining others. Instead of just remembering Andre for his size and strength, the scholarship honors the joy he brought to millions. Through all this, Robin has proven that being bigger than someone doesn't always mean standing taller. Andre was a physical giant, but Robin, she's a giant in heart, in courage, and in integrity. She faced a childhood of distance and loss, and instead of bitterness, she chose purpose. She chose to turn her pain into something meaningful, for herself and for others. In a world where so many celebrity kids chase fame or fall apart under pressure, Robin charted her own course. She doesn't seek the spotlight. She simply works, quietly and consistently, to protect the name and memory of her father. And that makes her impact enormous in ways no physical measurement could ever capture. So when people ask if Andre the Giant's daughter is bigger than he was, the answer is yes, not in size but in strength of character. Robin Christensen Rousimov has become a giant in all the ways that truly matter. Her story reminds us that greatness isn't about height or fame. It's about the choices we make, the choice to honor love over bitterness, the choice to use what we have to make the world a little better. Because true greatness, it's never measured in feet and inches. It's measured in the size of our hearts, and Robin's heart is as big as her father ever was.